I swore I saw my daughter-in-law slip something into my drink. My hands were shaking when I called the psychiatrist, but his words made my blood run cold. "Mrs. Rousseau, your daughter-in-law has been dead for 5 years." My heart stopped. Either I was losing my mind or something far more sinister was happening in my own home. If you're watching this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. I want to know how far this story travels, because what happened to me could happen to anyone. That morning, I woke up with a splitting headache, like someone had driven needles behind my eyes. It wasn't the first time. For weeks now, I'd been waking up like this, mouth dry, mind foggy, unable to remember how I'd gotten into bed. My name is Elizabeth Rousseau. I'm 62 years old, and I live in a spacious house in Quebec City, Canada, a home my late husband Vincent and I bought 30 years ago. Vincent was a cardiovascular surgeon. He died 7 years ago from a massive heart attack. Ironic, really. Since then, I've been living alone with my memories and my well-established routines. Well, not completely alone. My son Matthew visits every week with his wife Audrey. Matthew is all I have left of Vincent, the same determined look in his eyes, the same deep, steady voice. He works as a tax attorney, a job that keeps him busy, but he always makes time to check on me. That morning, I shuffled downstairs to the kitchen in my slippers, dragging across the oak floors. Autumn light streamed through the windows, casting golden rectangles across the marble countertop. I put the kettle on and sat down at the table, trying to piece together the fragments of the night before. What had I done last night? I'd read a little, watched the news, then nothing. A black hole in my memory, as if someone had wiped away the last hours of my day with a sponge. My phone buzzed. A text from Matthew. "Mom, coming by tonight with Audrey, bringing your favorite dessert." I smiled despite the unease. Matthew was a good son, and Audrey, his wife, was lovely, always smiling, always thoughtful, almost too perfect, I sometimes thought, but I quickly pushed that petty idea away. The afternoon dragged by slowly. I tried to read, but the lines danced in front of my eyes. I took a nap, but woke up even more exhausted with this strange feeling that I was being watched. Around 6 p.m., I heard the key turn in the lock. Matthew and Audrey burst in with laughter and shopping bags. "Mom!" Matthew kissed my forehead. "You look tired. Are you sleeping enough?" "I'm sleeping too much, actually," I replied. "I don't understand it. I feel exhausted all the time." Audrey moved closer, her face showing perfectly calibrated concern. "Elizabeth, maybe you should see someone. At our age, we need to be careful." At our age, she was 32. I felt a flash of irritation, but I pushed it down. We had dinner together. Audrey had made beef bourguignon, my favorite. She served, smiled, filled our glasses, a perfect hostess in my own home. After the meal, while Matthew was clearing the table, Audrey brought me a glass of water with my usual medications, 1 pill for blood pressure, another for cholesterol. "Here you go, Elizabeth. Don't forget your pills." I took the glass and brought the tablets to my mouth. But just as I was about to swallow, I saw something that made me freeze. In the reflection of the dark window behind Audrey, I glimpsed a figure, a woman, thin, with long, straight hair, a pale face. She was staring at me with empty eyes, and the most terrifying part, she looked exactly like Audrey, but different, younger, more gaunt, dead. I jerked violently, knocking the glass over. It shattered on the tile floor. "Mom!" Matthew rushed over. "What's wrong?" I kept staring at the window. The figure had vanished. My heart was pounding in my chest like a war drum. "There was someone there." Matthew and Audrey exchanged a look. That kind of look I've learned to recognize. The look people exchange when they think an elderly person is losing it. "Mom, there's no one there. It's just the reflection of the trees outside." But I knew what I'd seen, a woman, a ghost, or something worse. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. Every creak in the house made me jump. Every shadow looked like that figure I'd seen in the window. The next morning, I called my old friend Margaret, a former colleague of Vincent's who became a neurologist. "Margaret, I'm losing my memory. I'm seeing things. I don't know what to think anymore." Her voice was gentle but firm. "Elizabeth, how long has this been going on?" "A few weeks, maybe a month." "Are you taking any new medications?" I thought about it. "No, same ones I've been on for years." "I want to see you. Come to my office tomorrow." But that night, before my appointment, something happened that changed everything. I woke up around 2 a.m. with a dry throat. I went downstairs to the kitchen for water. The house was pitch black, lit only by the bluish glow of moonlight filtering through the curtains. I turned on the small light above the sink and opened the faucet. That's when I saw her. In the reflection of the window above the sink, she was there. The woman. Standing right behind me, motionless, her long hair hanging like curtains on either side of her pale face. I spun around. No one. My heart was beating so hard I could hear the blood pulsing in my ears. I searched every corner of the kitchen, turned on all the lights, checked the doors. Everything was locked. I was alone. But on my way back upstairs, I noticed something on the kitchen table. My weekly pill organizer. I'd left it in my bedroom. I was certain of it. Yet there it was, open, some compartments empty when I was sure I hadn't taken this week's medications. Someone had been in my house, or I was truly going insane. The next day, trembling and exhausted, I went to Margaret's office. She ran me through a battery of tests: memory, cognition, balance. Everything seemed normal. "Elizabeth," she said, sitting across from me, hands folded on her desk, "physically, you're fine, but I think you should see someone else, a colleague of mine." She gave me the name of a psychiatrist. "Dr. Lemieux." I protested. "I'm not crazy, Margaret." No one's saying that, but grief, loneliness, stress, they can create very real symptoms. 2 days later, I found myself in Dr. Lemieux's quiet office. A man in his 50s, graying hair, thin glasses, piercing but kind eyes. I told him everything: the memory loss, the fatigue, the figure, my growing suspicions. And then I said what had been haunting me for days. "Doctor, I think my daughter-in-law is drugging me. I saw her pour something into my glass. I know it sounds crazy, but I know it." Dr. Lemieux put down his pen. His face became serious. "Mrs. Rousseau, which daughter-in-law are you talking about?" "Audrey, my son Matthew's wife." He opened a file in front of him, a file I hadn't noticed before. He studied it for a long moment, then looked back up at me. "Mrs. Rousseau, your son Matthew was indeed married to a woman named Audrey, but she died 5 years ago. Car accident on Highway 20. She was 27 years old." The world stopped. The walls of the office seemed to close in. My breath caught in my throat. No, that's impossible. I saw her yesterday, last week. She comes for dinner. She talks to me. Dr. Lemieux leaned toward me. "Ma'am, Matthew remarried 2 years ago. His new wife's name is Isabel. She's the one who's been visiting you." My head was spinning. Audrey, Isabel, dead, alive. "Your son was worried," the doctor continued. "He contacted me because you constantly confuse his current wife with his deceased wife. You call her Audrey. You talk to her as if she were someone else." I shook my head violently. No, I know what I see. I'm not senile." "No one's saying that, but hallucinations can be—" I stood up abruptly. "I'm not crazy." And I walked out. Back home, I frantically searched through my drawers, my photo albums. I found wedding pictures. Matthew, smiling, next to a beautiful young brunette. Radiant. Under the photo, in my own handwriting, Matthew and Audrey, 2015. I searched for more photos. The funeral. Printed newspaper articles. Young woman, 27, dies in tragic accident. Audrey Beaumont Rousseau. Died November 12, 2018. But then, who was coming to dinner at my house? I opened my computer with trembling hands. Facebook, Matthew's profile. I scrolled frantically. Vacation photos, work posts, and there, a recent photo. Matthew with a woman. Blonde, not brunette, light eyes, a different smile. The caption, 5 years with my wonderful Isabel. You're my light after the storm. Isabel, not Audrey. My mind was chaos. How could I have confused them? They didn't even look alike. Unless A terrifying thought struck me. What if I wasn't confusing them? What if I really was seeing two people, the living and the dead? I called Matthew immediately. "Mom, everything okay?" "Matthew, please come over, alone, without Isabel." A pause. "Mom, Dr. Lemieux called me. You walked out in the middle of the consultation. Please, I need to understand." An hour later, Matthew sat in my living room. His face was tense, worried. "Mom, we need to talk. You were married to Audrey." "Yes, and she's dead." He closed his eyes. The pain was still there, raw. "Yes, but I see her. I see Audrey." Matthew took my hand. "Mom, Isabel does look a bit like Audrey. Same build, same gentleness. I think that's why your brain..." "My brain isn't confused. I know what I see." "Mom, the memory loss, the hallucinations. Dr. Lemieux thinks you might be developing early onset dementia. It happens. It's not your fault." Every word was a knife. After Matthew left, I sat frozen on my couch. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was going crazy. But something inside me refused to accept it. A small voice, buried deep, that said, "Keep looking." I got up and methodically searched my house. If someone was drugging me, there had to be proof. I started with my bedroom. Under the bed, in the drawers, in the bathroom, nothing. Then the kitchen. I opened every cupboard, every drawer, and there, at the very back of a high cabinet I never used, my hand touched something. A box, small, metal. I pulled it out. My hands were shaking. Inside, bottles, medications, labels I didn't recognize. Zolpidem, lorazepam, risperidone. Powerful sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medication, antipsychotics, and a notebook. A small journal with dates, times, doses meticulously recorded. Sept 15, 10 mg zolpidem in evening tea. Effect, deep sleep, no waking. Sept 22, 15 namrein. Increased confusion next morning. Oct 3, added 5 mg risperidone. Hallucinations reported. My blood ran cold. Someone was documenting my poisoning. I kept reading, my eyes widening in horror with each line. Goal, have Elizabeth declared incompetent. Guardianship, access to accounts, early inheritance. And at the bottom, a signature. Not Audrey, not Isabel. Matthew. The world collapsed around me. My son. My own son. I should have been afraid. I should have been devastated. But instead, a cold, clear rage filled me. Matthew had been poisoning me for weeks, making me seem crazy, manipulating my perception of reality, playing on my confusion between his current wife and his dead wife to make me doubt my own sanity. Audrey's ghost wasn't a drug-induced hallucination. It was my subconscious trying to tell me something was wrong. My mind knew that Isabel wasn't who she claimed to be in my life. She was playing a role. They both were. I took photos of the notebook with my phone. I filmed the bottles. Then I put everything back exactly as I'd found it. The next evening, Matthew and Isabel came over as usual. Smiles, kisses, perfect hypocrisy. "Mom, I made an appointment with a specialist," Matthew said. "We need to manage your issues." "My issues," I repeated calmly. Isabel brought me tea, the poison, ritualized. "Thank you, sweetheart," I said with a smile. I brought the cup to my lips, pretended to drink. Then, while their backs were turned, I poured the contents into a potted plant beside me. We talked. I played my part, the confused old lady, compliant. When they left, I waited until they were out of sight. Then I picked up my phone and called the police. The investigators took my testimony seriously. The photos of the notebook, the bottles, a toxicology test on my blood that confirmed the presence of multiple substances. Matthew was arrested 3 days later at his office. Isabel the next day. During interrogation, everything fell apart. Matthew had massive gambling debts. Isabel, a former nurse, had supplied the medications and the plan. They were waiting for me to be declared incompetent so they could get power of attorney over my accounts. The Quebec City house was worth over $1 million. Vincent's inheritance, even more. But what broke me most was the final revelation. Audrey, the real Audrey, hadn't died in an accident. Investigators reopened the case. They exhumed her body. New autopsy. Traces of medications in her tissue, the same ones they'd been giving me. Matthew had killed before, his own wife, who'd threatened to leave him after discovering his debts. He'd drugged her before causing the accident. Isabel was his accomplice from the start, his hidden mistress. And me, his mother, I was next on the list. Today, Matthew is serving 25 years for murder and attempted murder. Isabel, 15 years as an accomplice. Me, I still live in my Quebec City house, alone, but not as alone as before. Sometimes at night, I still think I see Audrey in the reflections. But now, I'm not afraid of her. I think she was there somehow, to protect me, to make me understand that something was wrong. The psychiatrist was right about one thing. I was confusing Isabel and Audrey, but not because of dementia, because my instinct knew this new woman was an imposter, a danger. My mind conjured Audrey's memory as an alarm bell. Ghosts aren't always what you think. Sometimes it's the living who are the real monsters. If you've listened this far, thank you. If something seems off in your life, if someone's making you doubt your own mind, trust your instincts. Look for proof. Don't let anyone steal your truth. Madness isn't always where you look for it. Sometimes it wears a three-piece suit and calls you Mom. This story has changed names and locations to protect privacy, but it's terrifyingly real. I'm sharing it, hoping it might help someone, somewhere. If this story touched you or moved you in any way, leave a comment. Tell me what city you're listening from. Your support reminds me I'm not alone. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with courage and truth.